In today's English lesson, we're going to look at some phrasal verbs for talking about making phone calls in English. Now, mastering these phrasal verbs will hopefully make you sound a little bit more natural and to feel a little bit more confident when you're speaking English. I'm going to include definitions and examples of usage of these phrasal verbs. And then if you watch to the end of the video, I'm going to tell you a little story which incorporates all the language that we're covering in today's lesson. Plus it provides a little bit of extra English listening practice. As usual, there's a free PDF to accompany today's English lesson. You can download it on my website. I'll put the link below. Ready? Let's get started. Number one is to get hold of someone. And this means to reach somebody, and in this case, via the telephone. It's used when you want to emphasize the effort of reaching someone. For example, I finally got hold of my boss. I've been trying to call him all morning. Another example, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about my mum. I can't get hold of her. We usually speak first thing every morning, but there's no reply. Number two is to call up or to ring up someone, which basically means to make a phone call to somebody. I need to ring up my friend to ask about the party details. I need to call up the restaurant to check our reservations. Number three is to pick up, and when you pick up the phone, it means that you answer the phone. Whenever I call my kids, it takes them forever to pick up. When the doctor called, I picked up immediately. Number four is to hang up, and to hang up means to end a phone call. Whenever I get a phone call from some random stranger trying to sell me insurance or something, I usually hang up. If somebody hangs up on you, it means that they end a phone call quite abruptly, maybe because there's an emergency or maybe because they're unhappy about something that's been said in the phone call. I had an argument with my boyfriend and he hung up on me. He cut the call off prematurely. Number five is to hold on, and if you're asked to hold on, it means you're being asked to wait for a minute. Can you hold on for a moment? I just need to check your records. The sixth phrasal verb is to hang on, which is really similar to hold on. It means to wait. Hanging on or asking somebody to hang on is slightly more informal than asking somebody to hold on. But again, it's asking somebody to wait for a short amount of time. Number seven is to call back. And when you call someone back, it means that you return a phone call. I'll call you back after my meeting. Would you like me to call back a little bit later? Number eight is to put through. Putting through someone is connecting one person to another person on the telephone. So imagine you phone a company and you get through to the main desk and the person on reception says, I'll just put you through to the correct department, or I'll put you through to the manager. Number nine is to cut off. And if a call is cut off, it means that you lose your connection. Sometimes if you're traveling through a tunnel or something like that, and you're on the phone, the call will be cut off because you'll lose a signal. If you lose a connection with somebody while talking to them on the phone, you could phone them back and say, our call seemed to be cut off. I don't know what happened. Number 10 is to get back to someone. And when you get back to someone, it means that you contact them again after a previous call. I'm a bit busy at the moment. Can I get back to you later? The manager will get back to you this afternoon. Number 11 is to break up. And breaking up when we're talking about phone calls is when there is a poor connection where you can't hear very clearly. You can say that the call is breaking up. Or you could say, you're breaking up. Can you hear me? Like I said, usually it happens because there's a poor connection or you lose your signal. Finally, number 12 is to pass on. And when you pass on a message, it means that you take a message from somebody and then you give it to somebody else. You pass on the information or the details. Could you give me your details, please? And I'll pass them on to my manager, or I'll pass on the message to him when he gets back. So that was all 12 phrasal verbs. Now I'm going to tell you a bit of a story which incorporates all these phrasal verbs. So have a listen and see how much you can understand. As usual, it's not the most fascinating story, but it's good English listening practice. This morning, before starting work, I called up my sister-in-law to finalise plans for our upcoming holiday. We hadn't spoken for a few weeks, and I wanted to have a bit of a catch-up too. But she was obviously busy, as she didn't pick up, and it went through to voicemail. I'll try to get hold of her later, I thought to myself. Then I remembered that I also needed to ring up the hospital to confirm the details of an upcoming appointment. Now, in theory, this should have been really quite simple, but I was put on hold for almost 15 minutes. And by the time I finally got through, it was almost 10 a.m. "Let me put you through to the right department. Just hang on for a moment," said the receptionist. And then I was put on hold again. In the end, I had to hang up because I had to attend a meeting. I'll call back later, I thought to myself. But then my phone pinged. It was a text from my sister-in-law saying that she would get back to me in the evening. Perfect, I thought. At lunchtime, I spent another 15 minutes trying to get through to the right department at the hospital. "How can I help you?" said the receptionist. The line started to break up, and then, much to my frustration, the call was cut off. I'd have to start all over again. I was starting to lose patience. Half an hour later, I finally got through to the right department. "I'll pass your message on to the doctor," said the receptionist. "Thank you for calling." How did you get on listening to that? If you need to re-listen, have another go, and then see if you can answer these questions. What were the 2 calls that I had to make? Was I successful making these phone calls? Did I speak to the person? Did I get through to the person that I wanted to talk to? And my final question is, do you avoid making phone calls altogether? I think this might be a generational thing. My generation are used to using the telephone because back in the dark ages, that was the only way we had to communicate with people. Now, obviously, there's lots of other options. So I know my kids' generation prefer to communicate completely via text message. That's all for today's lesson. But if you found it useful, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And also, if you fancy leaving a comment below, please do. I love hearing from you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.